Welcome back to Not Your Average Cinema. Today we're going to be reviewing Predator, Killer of Killers, which I believe is exclusively on Hulu.
Yes, yes, it is.
This
So,
one did not go to theaters,
yes,
unfortunately.
unfortunately, indeed. And this is the first of two Predator movies that are coming out this year. We have Predator Badlands, which is a live action film. This is animated, and that is coming to theaters later this year, maybe November, I think it might be. And that one, Predator Badlands, I don't think we knew this one was coming out at the start of the year, but the other one, maybe we did. But the other one made my most anticipated films of the year. I don't think it made yours. But
I don't even remember that. You could have told me that we didn't know of either of these.
yeah,
Uh,
and I don't think we even had a cover because I used the Prey cover and then put Badlands written over it. So we didn't know a lot going into this year, but we're getting a lot. And this one I was probably more excited because it was sooner and it's kind of like a big question mark being animated and anthology, so a few different stories in there. And with the different timelines it looked like they were going to. There's a big question mark, even though I felt safer to get actually excited about the quality of Badlands live action movie. This one was sooner, so it kind of evened out for my excitement of the two.
yeah, I think with the recent trailers that we've watched, or we watched of both of them, I was probably actually a little bit more excited about this one, just because I've tended to actually like a lot of the. I think some of my favorite movies over the last couple of years have
Yeah.
kind of been animated ones. So I was like, they can kind of do some unique things that they wouldn't always do in a live action style Predator movie. And yeah, because it looked like it was going to have kind of multiple, no, not time. I was going to say timelines, but different times throughout history. But yeah, and you can see there it is. This one's well loved by the critics and the audience, both 90 plus percent. So that's pretty good, pretty good. And yeah, we're not your average cinema, so we actually give our scores up front. So that way you don't have to be spoiled if you don't want to, and you can just click off the film after subscribing, obviously, and liking after we give the scores. So, Pepper, do you want me to give my score first, or do you want to give yours?
You said you were more excited, so we'll save yours for last, or maybe, or do you want to go first? Are you really excited about this?
I might not be as excited as you because you seemed actually pretty excited. So I don't know.
Okay.
We might
Well,
have about the same score.
you go first. You go first.
Okay. And I'm gonna give this one a 9. I'm excited to go back and give this one another watch. And it's I'm sure Badlands would if this one hadn't come out, Badlands. I'm hoping anyway would have made me want to go back and revisit maybe the Predator franchise because it's been a while since I've watched all of those movies.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that I have watched all of them, but yeah, this one was really solid. I really liked what they did. I think it all looked really good, and the story itself was really solid. And it's a very short movie, so it's not one of these 2.5 to 3 hour long
Yeah.
extravaganzas. And I don't know if it needed to be, but I think that'd be maybe the one thing. I'd have it a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's knocking it down from that kind of 9.5, 10 potential.
yeah. Yeah, I like to keep the numbers simple. They're easier to put on the screen if you don't have the points in here. So, but this is a 9 out of 10. It could be like, yeah, 9.25, maybe up to a 9.5. I really like this one. I was worried, is this just going to feel like a bunch of little shorts and little mini stories thrown together that doesn't really feel like a movie? Is it just going to feel like a TV show and just kind of like the B team type of feel and the B movie, B Predator movie of the year? And this one exceeded all my expectations, and I think it did feel like it kind of all comes together and actually works together for being these three different stories. Somehow they find unique ways to make it work and actually feel like a complete movie. So I really liked it. As we'll get into with the good here, we go then after our ratings. We'll go to the good, the mixed, and the bad, or the good, the bad, the ugly. Even though the ugly, it seems like we have two bad categories there, and we have a mixed. So I guess mixed is ugly in that case.
Exactly. But yeah, like I said, if you don't want any spoilers, we probably won't say that much spoilery stuff. We don't typically, but if you want to make sure no spoilers, yeah, can click off now. But
Yes,
yeah, getting into the good, Pepper. There's a lot of good. Obviously, with two nines out of 10. We really enjoyed a lot of different things in this one. The animation, probably, I think I tend to like that maybe even a little bit more than you tend to. Um, I think you had kind of said when we were talking about it that the style isn't always necessarily your favorite, but I actually like it quite a bit. And with some of it, I think like so this was kind of split up in three different stories, kind of three different stories that went into another fourth story kind of thing. Um, and I feel like there's this one that made me think a little bit of like Blue Eye Samurai, which was a show I really liked.
me
That's
too.
animated as well, and some of the action kind of made me think a little bit of that. And yeah, I really liked that one for that action as well. Um, which, yeah, the second one on here, action. I think the animation and action worked well together. It felt like they did a really good job at being able to kind of combine those two things in cool ways sometimes that I think you had said that you didn't know or you thought they could do it in live action, but like there were some weapons and stuff, and I'm like, I think it just would look better in animated form than it would if they tried to do some of them in live action. So I liked that I think they explored some things that maybe wouldn't have looked. I don't think it would look as good if it was like in Predator Badlands later this year. But we'll
That's
see,
true.
because it looks like in that one there's going to be some kind of different weapons and stuff based on the trailer. So maybe they'll explore some more of that stuff, and maybe I'll change my mind on that. But yeah, I think the animation was pretty solid. But Pepper, you're maybe a little harder on some of that stuff. So let me know
I
if it looked crappy. I don't notice those kind of things.
I agree with the shout out to Blue Eye Samurai. It's a great series. I can say, oh, I turned you on to that one, even though you were going to watch it. I just happened to watch it first, so I take credit for you liking that. But that has a great animation action, and this one, when we watched the trailer, I'm like, it's got kind of a choppy. Some say it's kind of like the Spider-Verse animation movies, and I felt like in the first few minutes here, it was just like a little too choppy, like when characters are running, and I'm like, it feels slower than it should. But then after the first few minutes, I was totally fine with it and actually really dug the animation style by the end of it. And especially like with the plane flying and when they're running on the rooftops in the second segment, I'm like, these are just like really beautiful shots in these. So like even the cinematography, the way they set it up in the animation, I think was really well done too. But yeah, and the settings here for all of it, you get kind of three unique settings, three unique. I do want to say timelines, but it's different times on the same line. Um, it's really cool to see just how the world is in these different areas, these different pieces of time, but also still feeling like it's still the animation style and feels like maybe they could have done something different, but since they kind of tie it all together, it does make sense to make all of them the same animation style, even though it could have been really cool to like have it be look different for each of those segments. But I think it worked pretty well and it kind of ties and that kind of goes with the universe positive here. Like it's just cool to see the Predators and see what they've been up to throughout all this time, and that they have been continually coming back and trying to fight the greatest killers and be the greatest hunters in history. And I just think that that is a great addition to the universe to just. You talked like you want more after we saw Prey. You want them to go spread out and go to different timelines, fight different people. And I love that they followed up with that.
Yeah, I think that was a really good choice, and I'm really interested to see what later this year Badlands will do. It looks like that is exploring maybe a whole different like civilization planet kind of thing, which I think would also be a cool thing to explore. And I wonder if there will be any tie-in with this. I don't know if they're required to kind of be a connected story or not. I don't know, uh, or share the same lore kind of thing. Uh, but yeah, I thought the universe in this one showing that, yeah. they're kind of always watching in a way. Uh, it's it's kind of scary, kind of interesting. It's like, I wonder, yeah, how they decided what kind of when to show themselves and when not, because they kind
Yeah,
of would it seemed like sit in places watching act like kind of
yeah,
watching it along with you sort of in a way,
that was cool.
and then kind of like at some point in time decide, okay, this person maybe could be worthy, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. That is really cool for sure.
Mhm. But yeah, so that gets into kind of the characters that they're interacting with, and yeah, I think those were all solid. They felt like it's kind of three characters, and they all felt different, unique. So I did like that they kind of didn't make them all the exact same character. They all, I don't know, felt different. I guess I don't know if I have like a specific favorite one. You had said you have a favorite one, but
Well, I
I
don't
don't
know if I
know.
have one's the most fun. One's the
That's
most
true.
likable of a
I would
person.
agree that one was the most fun, but
Because
yeah,
yeah, like maybe
the samurai guy might, or was he samurai ninja?
Samurai Ninja. Yeah, I'm
The
not sure. This
sword is
one.
probably my favorite.
Yeah, I think that yeah, the first one, the Viking probably has the best story and maybe emotions
Hmm.
to there and motivation. I think that the samurai is the coolest of the bunch, and then I think the third one, the pilot, is the funnest, the jokiest, most like lovable of the bunch. So I think having all three of those flavors in there was just the perfect choice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, give you a little bit of everything, and they were able to, even though it was kind of three unique stories, able to tie them up kind of by the end into kind of a grander story, which
Yeah.
I think was they, they they made it work pretty well, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it did, and I didn't expect that. Like I said, I went into this thinking, is this just going to feel like a bunch of TV episodes that aren't even connected or no tie through them? But they gave me more than I ever expected, and it's
Did
leaving me
you
wanting more.
did it feel like what if? Which one would you think tied in kind of everything better?
I would say this probably tied it in better than What If. Although I've watched two seasons of What If. The first one tied it together pretty good. I don't think the second one tied it as well, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it did it pretty good. And it just the way that they tied it, it makes you think of all the other movies, and it's like, okay, what is this whole what you learn in this? Like, well, how does that affect everything I've seen beforehand? And that's a really cool, thought-provoking.
Hmm.
Choices. But
I
on
agree.
to some of the lesser aspect, unless you had any more good
No, that was
praising to
all
do
very
for
good.
this. Uh, and then we move on to the mixed aspects of the film. And you said this is the most repetitive film you have ever seen. Explain yourself.
Okay, so we were trying to look for some more kind of not just in the good
Yeah.
category, and initially, I will say after the first two stories, they kind of felt like they ended or had kind of a very similar end scene kind of thing where a person they were with kind of died like right next to them and whatever, and then uh, they kind of ended up on. We weren't really sure at the time. We knew they were kind of on like this plane thing or kept hostage kind of thing, as it would cut to them at the end. But at first, after those first two ending like that, I'm like, okay, that just felt a little bit of the samey, but it didn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was really like it's not something now that I've watched the whole movie that I felt like it was a actual like bad thing or anything. But after those first two, I was kind of like, oh, are we gonna get a third story that kind of ends in that same exact way? And it did not. So, um,
Yeah.
if that had also had that, then I
Yeah.
maybe would have questioned it a bit more.
Yeah. And I think I might have noticed it, but I did not notice that. But it is, thinking back, it is pretty close. And then we have the ending. I think the end, like story and scenes and third act type of stuff, or fourth act, I guess. I think that that's all great. It's just kind of the very ending, kind of where they leave you with the characters. I don't think was the most satisfying. of way to leave it, and it does leave you with some questions still. And so, I mean, I would like to see a little more resolution there.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is I'm not entirely sure like how I guess, hopefully this means that it is doing well, being well received, so that it might get, some additional, because it definitely leaves you in a place where you could have additional follow-up movies. And if that is the case, then I would say then it's not a bad ending. But part of me is just that has this bit of worry that it's like, oh, this might just be the last we see of this, and
Yeah.
then it's just kind of like, I would have maybe, yeah, liked a little bit more,
Yeah.
liked a little bit more there, but. Uh, I think if I could be confident that they have another movie or
Yeah.
two or 10, then I would be much better feeling about it. It's just kind of one of those things that I don't know. I feel like it's so hard to tell which ones will do well or which ones won't, and
Mhm.
I guess I don't really understand how do how does the streaming of or how do these work even? I don't know the economics behind it.
Yeah.
Like, is it hopeful that this will be so popular that then the next one they can bring into theaters, or do they still make enough off of it being on a service like Hulu? I don't know.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's what I think because it's on Hulu specifically and not in theaters. That's what I think has me a little more worried. But maybe
Yeah.
I shouldn't be. Maybe
Yeah.
I shouldn't be.
It feels like they're putting a lot into this Alien and Predator franchise. We have another Predator movie coming out. Alien was just kind of had a reboot type thing. And I mean, I think they're going to be connected probably in the next few years. So I have faith that we're going to be getting a lot more. At least the first wave. We're still going to be getting stuff here. Maybe after that, they'll say, okay, this is not sustainable in any way. We have made a huge mistake. We will never financially recover. Um, but yeah, on to the bad. There is no big bad parts of this movie to
I
me.
told you there was a huge bad pepper.
And what is that?
There weren't any aliens.
That's right. That's a huge negative.
Let's
How are we
hope
supposed to get
hope we
excited?
eventually get them. I think
That's,
it could make sense to be in this
yeah.
continued universe that they've created here.
That
I think
would
it
have
would
been
make
nice
sense.
to get a little tease of it or something.
Yeah,
That would have been good.
but yeah, I think this one's a solid one. Definitely worth checking out, especially if you do have a Hulu account. If you
Yeah.
have if you have access to it, it's like I said, an hour 25. There are not many movies these days that are under an hour and a half, and I think this one it gets a lot done in that hour and a half. And yeah, you could probably, if you are like, I can't even spare that, you could probably break this into kind of four parts,
Yeah.
and it's
I think
probably
so.
then like 15 to 20 minutes a pop. Uh, you
Yeah.
just have to kind of remember where you are because I think you could stop and you wouldn't necessarily lose anything from stopping. I mean, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
maybe put like weeks in between watching them or something, but like if you just wanted
In
to,
August.
you want to just watch something for, 15 minutes, yeah, you could watch this over, a week at work if you have like a 15-minute lunch or break or something.
Yeah, I agree. Great point.
Perfect point. But yeah, otherwise, if you liked this review, you can give us a thumbs up, subscribe for future ones, and for when we eventually review Predator Badlands.
Ooh. We're
And
gonna have to
let's hope
rank.
that
You're
it's
gonna have
good.
to watch all the others.
Oh, God. Oh, God. At least it'll be better than that Mission Impossible series that I had to watch, so then we could film our rankings of that. But yeah, you go check that out if you want. But otherwise, we hope to see you on that one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on that movie theater popcorn or that microwave popcorn if you're watching this movie on Hulu.